What up, guys? Mr. C here, coming at you with episode 1 of taking a look at video game printed publications, or Talavga. The first episode is going to deal with YouTuber and television books. So these three right here were printed by YouTubers, and we're just going to kind of look at them right fast like. I don't want to get too long-winded here, but this one's by Larry Bundy. I'm sure you guys have heard of Larry Bundy before. His reputation obviously precedes him. These are just good, like, kind of coffee table books, you know what I mean? Coffee table, dining room table, video game protagonists, video game female protagonists before Samus Aran, Time Gal. You guys remember her on Sega CD? I remember the AVGN referencing her, at least. Disastrous video game launches. Sorry about the glare, guys. The lighting isn't great. I'm gonna try to kind of position myself in a way there to be out of the way of that light if I can, or I think this looks a little bit better. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. I'm sure you guys remember hearing about what a disaster that was. Dead Island. I played that game at a friend's house. I didn't really get into that game. Battlefield 3. I still have that. A buddy gave me that. I don't think I've even played it yet, to be honest. Putty Squad. I've never played that. Game's too big for their britches. Ha! Can it run Crisis? Not for another 3 years. Nice meme. Oh yeah, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. WWE demands that no one makes Triple H look weak. One of the things about wrestling is that some people cannot distinguish between reality and fiction. The line between them nowadays is blurred more often than it ever was. 2008 wrestling games were eagerly anticipating the release of SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. In September 2008, Fighting Spirit magazine published a private memo which was sent to the gaming press by the WWE. This was a bit of a no-no and obviously angered the WWE, as their memo stated that when showcasing the game, no press could utilize screenshots of any characters bleeding or using weapons to WWE. This request is completely understandable, as they were just a few months into the new PG era, meaning that their TV programming included no blood, violence had been toned down, and you were much more likely to hear words like poopy than any curse words. Yeah, no fun allowed. Released a game so broken it deleted all saves. WWF No Mercy. Yeah, I'm glad I got WCW NWO Revenge, guys. It's just a better game. I mean, I'm not a fan of game-breaking bugs. Rosters aside. Oh yeah, GoldenEye fans. Did you guys know the former Bonds were in the game? This fact-hunting book is legit, guys. It really is. I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend. Did you know that Michael Jackson was in Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2? The kind of lesser-known sequel to the 64 Dreamcast arcade boxing game. I think it was on arcade, was it? I don't know. I could be talking up my ass there. But yeah, Larry's great. Larry just came back. He made his first video in a while. I'm gonna leave the YouTube links to these guys' channels, but definitely check out the Fact Hunt book if you're a Guru Larry fan. Very fun book. Can't recommend it enough. Next up, we've got Vita Means Life, the unofficial complete history of the PlayStation Vita. This was a Kickstarter project by Sandeep Rais. He has an awesome channel related to mostly Sony related products. I cannot lie about it. I really haven't given this as much attention as I should. I kind of only read like 20 or so pages into it and stopped. Not because it was boring. This is a very well-researched, solid sources, full of facts book. And it has pictures for smooth brains like me, you know? I'm just, I've got to be in a mood to read about stuff. But if you like the Vita, like me, and want to know more about it, this was definitely the book to do so. I'm not 100% certain if this is available anymore, because like I said, I backed the Kickstarter. I do apologize if this is something that you would be into, and I'm kind of teasing you for it. I don't mean to do that. I don't like things like that. But I will say that sometimes Kickstarters that aren't relaunched or indefinitely available, or however you would describe it, you can occasionally find people will sell their stuff on eBay. You know, that's a thing. But I love the Vita. The Vita is my favorite handheld. Silent Cock got me into that. Ooh. But yeah, very awesome book. Very, very, very awesome book. The Vita deserved better. It just didn't have a chance. It's not fair. Sony ought to be ashamed. But I know they don't care. They have bigger problems. The Hinkaku hack ultimately sped up the demise of the Vita. You know, you can blame it on gamers, but Sony, if you wouldn't have if you guys would have learned from the PSP's fans aren't a fan of this memory card, it don't hold nothing, you gotta buy the better one, you know, like, then they did the same thing with the Vita, and it's like, you guys wonder why we hack these consoles. You're making them kind of weak, easily hackable, making these peripherals expensive. I'm not advocating the jailbreaking of anything. I'm just saying it is what it is. You know, these things will happen. I don't know what they were expecting. But yeah, guys, there's interviews with devs. It's essentially a biography of the greatest handheld ever made, you know? It's a real, like, over 400-page love letter to the Vita. Excuse me. Frog in my throat. Those who purchased the Vita Means Life book, those who backed it, also received the PlayStation Vita Collector's Handbook, the unofficial handbook of all Western and English PS Vita physical games. I don't own any PS Vita physical games. I can't lie about it, but if you were a collector, collectathon person, if PS Vita games were the real life equivalent to colored bananas and golden bananas, if your life is the equivalent of a Donkey Kong 64 game, you know, this is the blueprint page screen thing for you. So many games, so little time. I have never played an Ys game. That's another Silent Rob recommendation, if I remember correctly. But yeah, guys, pretty cool. Mine has a label, a record label ad in it that I'm afraid to rip out because it seems like kind of a part of its DNA now. I don't know if you guys have ever put a piece of paper in a book and it kind of become a part of it at the seams from that point, but yeah, that's what happened to mine. Alright, we've got The Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library by Pat Contry, aka Pat the NES Punk. I am not the biggest Pat the NES Punk fan. I didn't think the original videos he made, the kind of AVGN style, they're derived from him. He would disagree with it, but I don't know. I don't get into that whole those videos. I kind of like some of the podcast videos, but honestly, I'm not too crazy about those either. It's basically just like his friend Ian will talk about being high and working at a game store, and that's all fine and good. And sometimes those stories are interesting, but I don't know. Pat is just... I just find it weird that, like, the co-host is more interesting than the host. But this book is awesome. And there's another book like it on the Super Nintendo, which I want, and we'll get one day. But this is a really good book, guys. This is essentially a guide to the entire Nintendo Entertainment System library. In alphabetical order, every game reviewed, with screenshots, and, you know, you really couldn't ask for very much more in a NES book. I mean, it covers every game. The reviews are relatively detailed. Even though I'm not the biggest Pat the NES fuck fan, I can still admit that this book is incredibly well done. It's honestly a spectacular experience. Just flipping through it sometimes, you know, I don't know a whole lot about the NES library, guys. I really can't lie. Um, I'm, I don't own a NES. The only way I've really played it is emulation. I mean, I've played it on OG hardware before, but I don't own one, and I'm really only uber familiar with the original Super Mario Brothers. But you gotta love how Legend of Zelda gets like gets an entire sprawl or whatever. It's like a 2-page thing. But yeah, I like the original Super Mario Brothers a lot. We can see if we can find that here. Got Punch Out with the 5 stars. Availability common. Here we are. We got Mario 2 and 3 right here. Super Jeopardy. See, you gotta love that sprite art. I mean, that's just classic. But yeah, I love Super Mario Bros. OG. That's one of my favorite games of all time. Probably my favorite 2D platformer. Well, Mario 3 is better too, but I need to get farther in that one. I've almost beat the original Mario Brothers. One of these days I will. You got the different versions of Tetris. That's a whole story in and of itself. Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar. Those old school NES RPGs. I would love to play something like that, but I bet you it's hard. And then the section at the end of the book where I guess these are like editorial kind of maybe like opinion pieces or essays or something. I don't really know what's going on here. Like I said, I haven't read this entire book. I mean, like I said before with the Vita book, you would be crazy to read this thing cover to cover, but maybe one day, you know. Why was music so good on the NES? See, like this is a good thing, you know. Like I want to know why. I'm sure he probably talks about the sound chip and the way the devs made the music and how many instruments they could use. They were probably uber limited, I'm sure. NES censorship hypocrisy. Unreleased NES games. Airball by Tengen. Yeah, that's it for the YouTubers part of the video. That is the ultimate guide to the NES library, 1985 to 1995 by Pat Contry, aka Pat the NES Punk. We've got the X-Play Insider's Guide to Gaming. All you ever wanted to know about video games from G4 TV's brutally honest sexperts. Anyways, where was I? Did you watch X-Play when you were young? I loved X-Play, guys. Getting home from school, turning it on, you know, it was kind of an early ritual. That was the thing before you discovered sex and drugs and guitar. Reading through this book, you know, it kind of takes me back to a simpler time. Medal of Honor, Rising Sun cheats. I mean, that was a whole different thing, you know. Adam Sessler, X-Play host, on Just Saying No. Another thing here, note the kind of sinister look on fucking Adam's face here. If only we could see into the future with everything that was gonna happen with him. Holy shit. What a guy, man. We loved him so, you know. I kind of liked him a little bit. Like, he was weird and annoying sometimes, but, like, he was likable. He was funny sometimes. I never would have guessed he would have went off the deep end. But anyway, let's see here. What bothers you the most about video games? Games with overly tough guys that are just too stupid. Female characters that are just eye candy. Dumb dialogue that is just insulting. Games that are really just violent for the sake of it. Okay, maybe he always was a moron. Violence is a sticky issue when it comes to video games. What's your take on it? Many game makers get this wrong, but I think violence works if you think it's going to happen to you, your character in the game, but to dish it out is overly sadistic. Too many games have violence for the sake of violence. To me, Grand Theft Auto is cartoonish, but Solitaire of Fortune... Dude, did they even edit this piece of shit before they released it? Is sadistic. It's just too realistic. Any other beefs? Games that play towards the male power fantasy. Sorry guys, they bug me. Like they're all directed to insecure male teenagers. Oh, and I can't stand games where you play these Japanese RPGs with whiny teenagers who are analyzing their souls and stuff. Those Japanese RPG male characters who are girly and introspective are kind of annoying, but what are you going to do? They kind of took over Final Fantasy for like 10 years or something. Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter. I always wanted to play this, but I never got a chance. 4 stars. I wonder if it's really that good. You know, some of the the reviews in X-Play, sometimes they were good, sometimes they were not good. It's kind of the same deal in this book. I bookmarked one review because I thought that it was really well written and I basically agreed with everything it said. But there were some reviews in here that, you know, right now I really can't find, but I didn't agree with them at all. I wanted to play this game, flipping through this book. This game sounds kind of interesting. Gangland. It's basically a mafia-inspired trek through several different game genres. Well, Eric's X-Play the most is that this game could have easily been a contender, but far too many niggling issues get in the way. So yeah, it's basically like a crappy strategy game. There's no in-game pause, so like it's brutally hard, I guess. But it says here they were working on a patch. I'm sure that if the developers didn't fix it, fans probably did by now. But yeah, the way they described it, it sounds like an interesting game. You know, I like those kind of early strategy games. The Warcraft 2 kind of deal. Morgan's 3 games for Desert Island. You guys, oh my god, we got to talk about this. Shout out to my boys that swear Morgan wasn't a gamer. I really hope and wish that Morgan is and was a gamer and wasn't just a character. You know, they interview her here and she talks about her games and stuff. So we gotta hope. I'm hoping to the grave that we'll meet each other in heaven and play games together there. Okay, Morgan, what's the first game you played? It was Combat on the Atari 2600. You got to shoot those tanks. Sound effects were like E. That onomatopoeia, though. Phantasy Star 3 on Sega Genesis, Unreal Tournament 2004 for the PC. And one of the Command & Conquer games. I've never played those, but those games look good. Rise of Nations, 5 stars. My boy Baruch in the Hitman community. He loves that game, Rise of Nations. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure he plays that game. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dawn of Destiny, 2 stars. Xbox. Oh, that's kind of a shame. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, but it is what it is, you know, those licensed games. It's like Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z's had some stinker games. Somebody get that rabbit away from him. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 2-star piece of shit down memory lane. Adams 3 Desert Island games. Zelda Link to the Past, Mario 64, and Far Cry. I like those games. iToy Groove. Yo, I had that. I found my iToy the other day cleaning up, too. Morgan's favorite characters. Oh, my God. Would you just look at her? Would you just look at her? Also, these... You gotta love that the freaking... The book that had network money, that had freaking TV network money, couldn't even afford to edit their book. You know, they've got misspellings and spelling and grammatical errors in this book. Only the cover is color. The rest of it is black and white. But meanwhile, like, I know it was back in 2003 or 6 or whenever it was, so, like, we couldn't expect too much from a book about games, especially, like, a TV book or whatever. But dang, guys, like look. These freaking books that the YouTubers made are better put together now than this thing was back then. But, Morgan finds most of the video game men and women, I don't even English, men and women ridiculous. The guys are overly muscular and the girls overly proportional. She's not wrong. And the guy characters are so girly in some Japanese games. No, it's the American games where they're overly masculine. I don't play a game and think, he's hot. Her favorite video game character of all time is Ooh La La from Space Channel 5 on the Sega Dreamcast. I don't know who that is. Why? Because she has a cool microphone and she's a reporter and she's a dancer all in one. It's really not that great of a game, but I love her character because she's totally vapid. I love the music too. What video game character are you most like and why? Also, Ooh La La, because I shoot things and like to dance. Sometimes I have a microphone too. I don't wear that much orange vinyl, but I can start any minute. Morgan keeps Ooh La La dancing. You do that all you want to, Morgan. You eat my heart out while you're at it. Simpsons Hit and Run, 4 stars. Didn't that game just get a remake? It's a really good game. This is the bookmark that came with the Vita Means Life book. Too Old for Gaming is Sandeep Rais' channel. Very nice bookmark. Please excuse my crocodile skin. Alright, I'm going to read this review because I really like this game. And I think it's a really well written review, Chris Hudak. He's exactly right in pretty much everything that he says. So this is the review for Pirates of the Caribbean for the Xbox. Rated teen by Chris Hudak. 3-star rating. Bethesda software publisher and developer Akella. As part of a 1-2 punch of name recognition and game branding, the Disney folks have allowed Bethesda Softworks' new pirate-flavored RPG to bear the Pirates of the Caribbean name. In truth, it's only nominally linked to the swashbuckling motion picture starring Johnny Depp, and it has almost no connection whatever to the famed Disneyland attraction. But it's an admirably open-ended game that's barnacled with some functional and presentational flaws. A Pirate's Life for me. Pirates of the Caribbean is essentially Sea Dogs 2 plus time, minor improvements, and a license upgrade. Fans of the major motion picture and or the classic Disneyland attraction are in for a rendezvous with disappointment, as the title has virtually nothing to do with either. Players take the role of Captain Nathaniel Hawke, a freelance sword-for-hire in the 1800s Caribbean. The game is largely a removed viewpoint adventure, but can also be played at times from a first-person perspective as well as at sea. Very open-ended RPG. Attempts education through a tutorial. It's really not enough. You're basically on your own in a vast world where fate is in your hands. Very true. A quest book checklist offers some sense of things to do, such as offloading current cargo and upgrading the cheap equipment you start with. However, you're free to go off the nominal backbone of the story at any time. In the game, as in real life, the tavern is always a good place to start hearing gossip and rounding up a crew. The player is launched into a free-form fray after a French warship squadron takes the town of Ox Bay. It's part of the checklist to notify the local provincial governor, but players can ultimately choose to ally themselves with any political presence in the area, including the English, the French, the Spanish, or even the pirates. Such action will determine how well you are received as you travel, particularly at sea. It's all about ye old bling bling, of course. While rifling the old unlocked domicile or two is fine for newbie pirates, it's nothing compared to the money one can make running goods, food, spices, cloth, gems, and the rare treasures to be discovered from port to port. Once you start to assemble a crew and an actual fleet of ships, you can take to the seas and become an honest Blackbeard pirate if you choose. After all, boarding an opposing ship and simply taking her is much more satisfying than paying for one. Sword combat is all but mindless. Yeah, then they start kind of going into the criticisms a little bit, or a lot of it. Honestly, This little bit right here sums it up well. Pirates of the Caribbean is not a terribly friendly game. It has a wicked learning curve that casual gamers will practically hang themselves from, but if you're tough and self-reliant enough, RPG nerd points count here. There be treasure here. Aye, but you'll need to dig for it. This isn't your typical movie licensed game at all, actually. Once you're past the technical hurdles and the brutal realization of just how easy it is to die in a sword fight or get taken to the cleaners in a sea battle, Pirates of the Caribbean is an absolutely beautiful looking and freeform RPG adventure, but is really suited for experienced, patient gamers rather than casual ones. Oh, I miss good licensed games. I missed games like that, you know? Games where, like, they were good but flawed. They had their problems. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't mean for it to go on this long. Yeah. But I hope you enjoyed it. And who cares if it goes on this long as you guys watch it. But most people on YouTube, I swear to God, they don't watch past 30 seconds. It's kind of sad. Average person's attention span is not very long at all, but I feel like niche content like this, maybe people will enjoy more long-form content, hopefully, I hope. But if you did enjoy it, on the off chance that you did, please like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. It does help the channel. I know it's really hokey to ask, and I feel like a very corporate channel doing so, but, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask for help. And people that need it should do it more often. So, thank you. Have a good day now. Stand by for part 2, and go watch my Nintendo rant if you won't turn into a toxic fucking asshole. Thank you. Bye-bye.